Hello, I'm Gregory McNiff, Investor Relations for Silvaco. Welcome to Silvaco's Tech Talk focused on the diffusion of innovation, investing in the ecosystem expansion. I'll be moderating this event. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items. Today's event is being recorded and will be posted to Silvaco's YouTube channel following the event. I would also like to call your attention to our safe harbor statement and remind you that today's discussion may contain forward-looking statements which are subject to the risks and uncertainties outlined in our filings, in particular on Forms 10-K and 10-Q, and actual results may differ from those forward-looking statements. All statements are made as of today, and Silvaco is under no obligation to update these statements. Additionally, we will not be discussing Silvaco's financial performance or guidance. After the formal remarks, we will open the event to questions. Please type your questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and I will read out your questions to our speaker. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Ian Chen, Silvaco's Chief Revenue Officer. Ian?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for spending some time with us. So let me first just remind everybody with a quick overview about Silvaco. We are the first EDA company to have a successful IPO in the last 20 years. We are before and since the IPO, we have been growing in double digits percent. And we focus on applications with our growth, such as power semiconductor, memory, photonics, etc. And our customers include the who's who of leading semiconductor companies, and we're attracting more talents since our IPO. Our current employee number over 300. Now, while we are on the subject of numbers, let's talk about a few more. So we have 95% of our revenue each year comes from working with our customers' advanced R&D efforts. 68% of the annual revenue come from landing a new customer or expanding the commitment of existing customers. So that's to say that we are constantly working with our customers to deliver a new capability for their R&D for their R&D efforts. In fact, on average, every quarter we are actively working with at least 2 customers where we are trying to establish new R&D capability that they did not have prior to our engagement, and we are advising them on establishing new workflows. So getting customers to do something that they perceive as new is the classical definition of innovation. Today, we will explore a little bit about how Silvaco invests in our ecosystems to accelerate this diffusion of innovation. Throughout today's talk, I will use primarily our FTCO or fab technology co-optimization solution as an example of what we do. First of all, I would say that enabling new technology, new R&D capability is core to what Silvaco do in almost all our products, not just FTCO. Now, our FTCO solution is a way to deploy AI and ML for fab assistance. But first, let's talk a little bit about how the EDA industry is adopting AI and ML. Right? There are generally 3 ways that EDA companies are working or have worked to incorporate AI. The first is making our design tools smarter. In other words, the goal is to have the tool get to the optimal result that engineers want in less time by doing fewer simulations, for example. That's to say that with machine learning, AI tools can actually be more selective on what they do in order to satisfy a request. And this is something that's already showing itself in our tools as well as the industry in terms of building the next generation, more efficient tools. The second way that AI gets incorporated into EDA is as a digital assistant, right? So here we're talking about an AI model can learn from the past experience of the designer as well as other in his community. And now they can understand new intents from the user and offer recommendations or decisions strategies. Designers today are being asked to do more designs, more complex designs, with the same number of headcount in the same period of time. So the second approach basically addresses the efficiency of the designer. There's also the third way is where everybody has been talking about using generative AI so that we hope in some day we can actually provide just a design specification and the AI EDA tool can basically create a design based on that set of descriptions. So those are what EDA industry has been talking about in terms of AI. But I would also point out that the EDA industry for the first 30 years or so has exclusively focused on making designers more effective. After all, EDA, right? Electronic design automation. So the industry has a myopic perspective that the complexity of semiconductor is in design. But in the last 10 years or so, that's no longer true. The complexity of making a semiconductor has gone beyond the design stage into fabrication, into packaging, into tests, throughout the entire value chain. So what Silvaco's FTCO's, I would say, innovation or the realization is that the same type of EDA capability and the type of tools could actually also be used by engineers in the manufacturing process, in the fab, to actually assist in making decisions and improve productivity. Now, to do that, of course, we have to do a few things different. Let's come back to the point that I said before. Innovation is getting customers to do something that they perceive as new. So here are the three main innovations for FTCO. First, it combines a physics-based simulation, quantitative analysis, and AI ML all in the same unifying platform. Second, AI and ML requires a lot of data to actually become effective. So FTCO advocates starting a engineering creative process using simulations. In fact, using a large number of virtual design of experiment as the starting point. And then over time, engineers can judiciously pick data from physical experiments so that the learning model could be better calibrated with a goal that eventually we're building a digital twin. And then the third area is we are now talking about digital twin that are used by different people in the engineering process. So we have to make sure that the user interface of FTCO preserves how each engineering discipline prefers to interact with their data. So here I'm just going to use the first out of the 3 points to illustrate how ecosystem can be leveraged to remove the friction of adoption. It will also apply to the second and third point, but for brevity, we're just going to focus on the first. Okay, if you look at how a chip gets designed today, we can abstract it to say that there are roughly 4 stages. First, engineers have to select or invent a process by which the chip will be built. This means they would advanced R&D would have to consider materials, different process steps, and how each material and process needs to be applied to get the maximum yield for the in the final product. Then, given the design process, engineers have to create the device. The device could be just a small handful of transistors, as in a power device, or it can be a handful billions of transistors in terms of, let's say, an digital AI chip. So, excuse me. Number 3, then once there is a circuit design, and then there is a process, engineers actually have to ramp the product to production. That actually means that the process engineers that help create the process, design engineers, and the fab engineers have to all work together in this very crucial phase to figure out, hey, is the product yielding the way that we had anticipated? If not, what's going wrong? We'll have to debug the process and prove it. And that conventionally, this will mean that an upstream team, like a process team, will have to come in and help during product ramp. Now, process engineers and fab engineers use different tools. Process engineers may use physics-based simulation like TCAD, whereas fab engineers want to look at statistical data. So what FTCO is presenting is, let's put all these tools, all these ways of looking at the data into a unifying platform that we call the digital twin. So, of course, we are talking about doing things a little different than what the current engineering practice from the current engineering practice. So, communication theory talks about the diffusion of innovation, meaning that a good idea doesn't automatically go out to everybody who has been considering it or considering to adopt it. It is a stepwise process that are controlled by 5 factors. The first 2 of these factors, relative advantage and triability, is embedded into the product itself. So I certainly hope that we agree FTCO is a more efficient way of creating complex products. But it is something that existing engineers have to learn to use, and the triability is delivered by our FAE teams working very closely with our customers to essentially show them how the FTCO would apply to their application and advise them on different workflows. So that's something that every tech company has to do. But there are actually 3 other factors that controls the rate of diffusion: compatibility, observability, and the reduction of complexity. If you look at how ecosystem works for Silvaco in our EDA products, First, digital twins and AI are being used in many different ways in modern semiconductor manufacturing to help reach the next level of efficiency. So FTCO is a digital twin of a wafer going through the fab process. By working with other ecosystem partners, we can actually make sure that we keep track of all the other AI projects and digital twins that are springing up to help with the fab process and making sure that we're leveraging data from each other to make the result even better. So expanding utility is the part that is that addresses the compatibility part. We also look at research institutes and industry consortiums, which are part of our ecosystem. They are very important to actually not only develop the use case, but also the word of mouth of their experience applying FTCO. So our partners publish papers along with Silvaco, present at conferences, and network with potential adopters. So here, the acts of building evidence addresses the concern about observability. Also, if you look at what our customers and our ecosystem partner are doing, it is almost natural that when they use a new tool working with different coworkers to address a problem, they are going to find new ways of doing something. In other words, innovation happens. So our FAE team, working as senior consultants alongside with our customer, will bring back these observations, which helps us make sure that our R&D team remove any frictions that our product may present. So the continuous feedback portion and effort here works to reduce the friction of adoption, or in other words, reducing complexity. You've probably seen a number of on our website, a number of press releases regarding different investment and activities that Silvaco has made for its ecosystem. These are activities in the background that we've been engaging for years, and our collaborations sometimes go back at the history of the continuous relationship. Sometimes go back a decade, and some of our employees actually came from many of these collaborative efforts as well. Our work with ecosystem doesn't only benefit FTCO, it actually broadly benefits our EDA and TCAD products as well. And we have announced our FTCO partnership with Micron to apply FTCO to memory manufacturings. But this is only one facet of how our products can be applied. So some of the other application of FTCO could include advanced display to improve efficiency, improve energy efficiency, to reduce the weight of AR/VR headsets, for example, or increase the pixel resolution so that the user have a better experience. Or in the case 5 years ago, we started working with display vendors to provide simulation capability so that today we can enjoy cell phones that have a bendable screen. Similarly, in power semiconductors, we have continuously worked with our customers in terms of new process, new materials, and how that actually translates into an efficient manufacturing process to help them get to production yield faster. With that said, I've almost focused exclusively about FTCO, which is only one facet of the products that Silvaco sells. Our ecosystem is, as I say, equally helpful in all the different markets and products we engage in. It is something that we have done over the last 20 years of our company to building different partnerships and keep expanding on it. And I expect we will talk about even more of them in the near future. That's all my prepared slides. Thank you very much.